All right, y'all. That is it. The final in overtime. Bama wins 93-91. Crazy, crazy, crazy game. Um, so much to say about this game. So much to say about this game. Y'all come on in here, share the live with somebody. Let's get this conversation started. We are here on the War Report. Ike Jones, Live Town. Uh, tough. Tough way to lose. Bama shot 52% in this game. Listen, at the end of the day, you've got to get stops, and Auburn just did not get enough of them in this game. That's the long and the short of what my analysis of this is. They shot 52%, um, made 7 3-pointers in this game, 7 of 22 for 32%, and went to the free throw line 24 times and hit 16 of them. And that's where you lose the game right there. It's just not getting enough stops. You can't give up 93 points to this team and expect to win. C-Dub jumping in here. Let me get my headphones on so I can make sure I can actually hear what you're saying there. But Caesar, what's your thoughts, man?
Tough game. Tough game. You hate to see the seniors go out like that. Rebounding.
Yeah.
This is the story of the game. This is what worries me about this team.
31-24 is the deficit there. 41-33 is the deficit there in rebounding. Only lost by one offensive board, but what they didn't get killed on the offensive glass, but they could have gotten themselves some more second chance points in this game for sure. And definitely left a lot out there on the court in terms of just some sloppy turnovers at times and just some instances where they should have, I think, probably gotten some different guys in the game. Lot for them to go back and look at in this game and say, we could have won this one and did not get the opportunity to get the dub there.
Yeah. Again, you just want to see these guys they wanted this game.
Yeah.
They wanted this game. They wanted this game. So it's a sour taste in their mouth in terms of how this season ends. So they gotta take this into the tournament and know that teams are going to give them their best shot.
Yeah. We are in a position now where you've put it in the in the committee's hands as to whether or not you are going to be the number one overall seed in this, right? And so that's not what you wanted to be in. You wanted to control your own destiny. Now you're sitting here having to, I guess, hope for a Duke loss to put you in position where you can be the number one overall seed, because I still think that the loss in this instance is going to put Auburn in a position where they're going to give it to Duke. Even though this is a phenomenal game, you lose it in overtime on a last second shot. You did everything I think you need to do from a season standpoint to be there. I just don't like the bias that's in the committee. I wasn't listening to the commentators, but apparently Dick Vitale could not stop talking about North Carolina and Duke and Cooper Flag throughout this game. And that, to me, tells me all I need to know about the way in which the media views this matchup and this team.
Right. And then I've lamented that all season long. Like with ESPN, they've already made their decision. If you're Auburn, you don't want to make it a conversation.
Yeah. And you've made it now the intrigue and the suspense on, I mean, I guess it's good for TV. Because they get something where it's like you get an opportunity, and maybe it's another opportunity to put a chip on your shoulder, but golly, you didn't want to go out this way. Not a last second shot. Props to Mark Sears, because he had struggled in this game. He only had 9 points in this entire game, but 2 of the biggest right there at the end. He went 3 of 9, 1 of 4 from 3, but he made the one that counted right there at the end of the game. Free throw shooting, honestly, to me, you talked about the rebounds. The free throw shooting was it for me, right? Because Tahad Pettiford gets fouled on a 3, and at that point in time, Auburn is down by 1, and he only makes 1 of those 3. If he makes all 3, you're up by 2, and you control that back and forth at the end of the game. But because he only makes 1, you're tied. Bama goes down there and scores, and now you're playing catch up for the remainder of that game. You make those free throws, you're in a better position. Janai Broome in this game, 2 of 4 from the free throw line. 2 of 5 from the free throw line. And then Tahad Pettiford, 3 of 5, but the 2 he missed were super important. And then Chaney Johnson misses a free throws. To me, it was the free throw shooting that put you in a bad way in this game. But Yeah, the rebounding definitely. I'm not as tough on the rebounding in this game because you didn't get beat up on the offensive glass. You only lost that by
Sure.
one. But man, you've gotta get some opportunities there that you let slip away from you with some really kind of bad possessions.
Yeah, there was a series. I don't know if it was in regulation, maybe in regulation, where Auburn had two chances at getting a defensive rebound, and I think that was a play Grant Nelson was able to get it and get two, and put them up by two in one critical moment.
Yeah.
Those types of
Yeah.
plays it's
Now I agree with you.
statistically, yes. I mean, I get what your
Yeah.
point, but there's key moments where it's like, oh, guys, get you
Yeah,
gotta get
no.
the board.
So here's where I will agree with you 100%. In overtime, Auburn lost the offensive rebounding battle 5-2. They gave up
Yes,
5 offensive boards, 3 of them I think on the same possession. 5-2 in the overtime, and they looked gas. They looked absolutely gas in that overtime. I mentioned it right before Tahad Pettiford got the ball stolen from him. I was like, Tahad looks tired, bro. Like they need to either call a timeout or something, like get him off the ball, get Denver, like, but he looked tired. And then like it wasn't, I hadn't gotten that out of my mouth 10 seconds and he got the ball stolen from him and that layup happened. And I think that that's a crucial turnover in that moment because
yeah,
that gives Bama the lead because Auburn would, or it tied it, whatever it was, but Auburn was in control at that point in time as
they
well
took the
to where,
lead. They took
yeah,
the
so
lead.
yeah, it was tied at that point in time. So that was that point where Auburn was scoring and Bama was playing catch up, but then now you put yourself on the negative side of the ledger and you're having to catch up again. I think that's a crucial moment in this game as well. So um, yeah, I think that there's a lot of things that you can do to look back at this game and say you had this one and you just had lapses in critical moments. And to your point on the offensive glass there at the very end, that's just two. You're giving up 5-2 in the end, and that's the game right there. And those are the things that that everybody has been saying. Rebounding and free throws are going to be the Achilles heel of this team. They got to figure out a way to do this.
Yeah.
Let's get over into the comment section. And Caesar, be looking out for comments that you like here. But I got a super chat here from Jamal Pye who says Janai's scoring couldn't make up for our terrible post play on defense. Well, let's take a look at that. Points in the paint for Alabama, 52-40 in favor of Bama in this game. And I don't know that it's necessarily bad post play, but what it was for me is they didn't handle a lot of the screen action that Bama was doing, particularly in the first half, and their guards were getting downhill. The forwards were getting downhill off of that action and getting easy buckets. So, yeah, defense at the rim, I agree with you, needed some work. Chaney Johnson did not have a good game in this one.
No, he did not. No,
One
he
of
did not.
3 from the field for 3 points, 1 rebound, 4 fouls. Like he seemed a step slow the entire game out there.
Yeah, the past couple of games from Chaney, he's left a lot to be desired. And that hasn't infected the game like he has at a lot of points during this season.
Yeah. Appreciate the super sticker from Heavy. I'm not sure if there was a chat that was supposed to come along with that, but I'll try to look out for it. But yeah, appreciate that right there. Let's see here. Riley says free throws again. Yes, free throws at the end of regulation, because I don't know that Auburn shot any free throws in the overtime. No,
No,
they did not. Bama had 4 free throws and they made all 4 of them. Auburn didn't shoot any free throws in the overtime. So, but the second half free throw shooting for Auburn in particular, 5 of 10 was Auburn in the second half of that game when they needed to close it out. They just missed too many free throws. Janai Broome missed 3 in the second half. Tahad Pettiford missed those 2. So all of those came there in the second half of that game. Let's see.
If you just hit one of those, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
You just hit one of those.
Yeah. The free throws were the difference for you in this one there at the end. Now, Bama didn't shoot the ball great from the free throw line, but they definitely went more. So when you're going less, you have to take better advantage of them in the game. In total, Auburn made 11 free throws. Bama made 16 free throws. Bama had 24 of them. Auburn only shot 17. So Bama made almost as many free throws as Auburn attempted, right? They made 16. Auburn only attempted 17. Super chat here from Anthony Long says, Chad Baker-Mazara needs to stop the dumb stuff. How different is this game if Chad doesn't get tossed or isn't tossed? I don't know the answer to that, how different this game would be. I don't know that Chad is the reason Auburn lost this game, but I agree. This is one where I can't defend Chad. He absolutely did what they called. And for me, the issue with Chad is his need for retaliation. I don't know why he has a need to retaliate. Like, yes, you've been getting hit and knocked down all game, and they haven't called anything on any of this stuff. I don't know why he has the need for retaliation. And I told the guys in the watch party that we will get into the Chad Baker conversation, I think, more in depth tomorrow, because I think that there is a larger conversation to have about Chad Baker-Mazara. But yeah, in this game in particular, I don't know that he makes a difference for sure. But he definitely, I don't think he hurts, right? To have another guy out there who's another ball handler, who's a tough shot maker at the end of the game is something that you want to be able to have for sure.
If for no other reason, you guys can rest because you have that other guy who can play on the wing, who can handle the ball. So yeah, I think he does make a difference. I don't know to what degree, but yes, him being out there didn't help. Him not being out there didn't help.
Yeah. Let's see here. Turkey says Tahad missing 2 free throws hurt the chance to win. I agree. Like, he's got to make at least one of those 2 that he missed there. And you're in a different position from a scoring standpoint where Bama has to do some different stuff. And you're at least, like, if you're going back and forth, then you still have a 1-point cushion there that you don't have. So if he makes both of them, you're in a great spot there to be able to close that game out. Our guy, Mr. H says, really wish Broom would have drove to the hoop on that last play of regulation. I agree.
Yeah.
I don't like the fade away from the corner there. I don't think that that's not a shot that Janai Broom makes consistently enough for that to be his go-to shot in that moment. I would have liked to see him at least put the onus on the referees to give him a whistle, or just face up and shoot it, right? Instead of trying to fade away from like 20 feet. So I didn't like the selection of that shot.
I think a good point too is that he took too long to make his move.
Yeah.
He took way too long to make his move. I think you attack. I think you attack at this point. And to your point, draw a foul. I think they were in foul trouble at this point. You would have easily have gone to the line, would have been able to make a difference there.
Yeah. Stephen Neely jumps in. Super chat says 5 days to rest to get their mind right. They need it. This is a team that needs to be able to rest Denver Jones. Denver Jones, I think, played well in this game. Like, overall, he had 9 points, 3 of 7 shooting, and 7 of his, all 9 of his points came after half, right? 2 assists. He had not 2 assists. He had 6 assists and no turnovers in this game. Solid game from Denver Jones coming back. So you definitely liked what you saw from Denver coming back off of the injury there. But agreed, a couple of days to get it right there. Super chat from Nina says Bama had something to prove with this game. They needed this win. Didn't feel the same passion from our guys today. I don't know that I agree with that. I feel like Auburn was very passionate. I think Bama came out and jumped on them early. Yeah. But I think that they were passionate, but I think that the intensity was definitely higher from Bama at the beginning of the game. Once Auburn got into the flow, though, I think they came out of the half and they was like, yo, we're not going out like this, bro. And Miles Kelly came out, knocked down 3 threes there coming out of the half. So I don't know that I feel like I think to start the game, I would agree with you, Nina. I don't know that I feel like that carried through the whole game. Your thoughts on the intensity?
They definitely picked it up. They definitely picked it up as the game went on. It did feel as though Bama wanted it more in the first half, but even midway through the first half, Auburn began to hang around. Right. I really think that just Grant Nelson had an amazing game, whereas he didn't get in the first matchup. He was really the difference maker here. And
23 for Grant Nelson, 8 of 15. That big offensive board that he got there in overtime to really be the difference in this game, other than, of course, the final shot by Sears. But I think that was a big moment in that game where Auburn had to stop, and he gets that board with one arm, goes back up and puts it in. That was a big moment. And then his first half performance. I mean, Grant Nelson had 15 in the first half for them. So he really carried them offensively in the first half. Should have gotten teed up. Like, let's be clear. The taunting technical foul should have happened for Grant Nelson there in the first half. That was total BS. But, again, in a game that you lose by 2 points, it's complete garbage, right?
Like, I don't understand how you can go to the review,
right, and still not do it.
It's one thing to miss it live.
Right.
Yeah.
Super chat from Ben Bloodworth, who says, I hate the last two games have reduced this team from legendary to great, but they hung a banner, and that's better than nothing. War Eagle. You still got a lot of basketball left to be legendary, though. So
Yeah.
go out there and get another banner, and you're right back in that conversation. A member chat here says, ending the season on a losing streak, do we need to go into the SEC tournament differently now by looking to reassert
Reassert
our dominance? I don't think that you go into it any different. I was never of the mindset that this team was going to mail it in, like everybody keeps suggesting that they're just gonna, hey, well, this doesn't matter. These last few games don't matter. We've already got. I didn't think they were going to mail it in anyway. So I think that was a fan concept and not a player and coach concept. I don't think the players and coaches ever had that thought process.
So. Right. I agree. And you got to remember, Auburn played ranked teams in their season. Like teams that had that type of a stretch didn't really do particularly all that well. Like Bama when you look at Bama's last game stretch, they had a losing record. Like the last 7 games, like they had a rough draw. This is a tough way to end the season for Auburn, obviously. But you lost to ranked teams. It's not like you dropped games to teams that you had no business losing to, right? You don't have an Arkansas as a loss on your schedule. You don't have teams like that. You lost to a team that's desperate to try to get a number 1 seed and really try to lock up a top seed in the NCAA tournament. And Bama's playing with that type of desperation. A&M played with a similar desperation early in the week. And as Auburn, you got to realize there's no other place to go but down if you're number 1, and you're taking everyone's best shot game after game after game. You just got to keep your head on the swivel.
Super chat here from Lisa says, should Coach Pearl have called a timeout on the last play of regulation? I was shouting timeout at the TV.
That ain't Bruce.
The only reason I say no is because I don't think he wanted to give Bama an opportunity to think about what they wanted to do defensively. But I wouldn't have been mad if he had called a timeout and got into something that was a drawn up play as opposed to just letting Janai dribble the clock out and take a fadeaway. But I think that's more hindsight than that is analysis. I don't know that you are in a better situation in that point. But Janai's got to take a better shot there. He just needs to get to a better situation there. So, all right. Joining us live from Neville Arena, who was there watching the game from the media section, is our guy, Mike G. Mike G, what do you got?
3 points for change.
This was a tough one. Kind of an auspicious end to the season here. Look, that last play, I think was kind of indicative of what we saw all game. Alabama was getting to the rim whenever they wanted all game long. And at the end, to have that kind of defensive breakdown, I thought was a little disappointing. They forced them off the free throw line. And this one, you're talking about a team that averages over 33-point attempts per game. And they only got off 22 in this one. So if you're Auburn, I think you played your hearts out. Nate Oates kind of made comments before this game saying, this one doesn't mean a whole lot. That's cap. This game meant a lot to everybody, I think. And certainly, I think both teams played like it. Janai, I kind of changes the gears because I listened to everything you guys had to say. I don't know if this has been said. I think Janai Broome locked up Player of the Year tonight.
We have not despite the loss specifically, but 34 points and only 8 boards, but 34 points in a big 3 late game there.
2 big threes.
Yeah.
2 big threes in overtime. I think locks up Player of the Year for him. We've talked repeatedly about who they've been doing against him versus Cooper Flagg. Tonight, every time you needed a shot, Janai Broome had one for you. So 15 of 28, 34 points. Came up short of the double-double tonight. But the threes in clutch, in crunch time, to me, are what locks it up for him tonight. And certainly, I think that's going to serve Auburn well in the tournament, having a guy who can hit a big 3 when you need it. Look, the post game is going on right now. I chose to be with you guys rather than be down there asking questions. I know everybody else is going to ask. So we'll report on that later. But if you're Auburn, I think you turn your eyes to the NCAA tournament. I was surprised to see Denver Jones start in this one a little bit. When he came out, certainly his presence was felt tonight, especially in the second half. But in the first half, him and Miles Kelly combined got up 1 shot. And I was a little surprised as well too. Miles Kelly didn't take a single field goal attempt in the first half of this game. Denver Jones was 0-1. But look, this was a tough game. I felt like this was a Final Four game. Personally, I thought fans got their money's worth. Obviously, you'd like to see Auburn on the right end of the win there. But I think both these teams have a chance to make a deep run into NCAA tournament.
Yeah, no, this was definitely a great game. Just not the outcome that Auburn fans wanted to see, but you love what you saw from Auburn in this game for sure. I think the big thing here from Auburn is, Mike G, if you could comment on Grant Nelson. I mean, he 23 points, 15 big points in the first half. He really was the stabilizer for that Bama team in this game.
Yeah, tee him up on that crane kick in this game is over. I don't know if you guys talked about it, but
We did.
we posed. Our photographer got a shot of Grant Nelson looking right at the ref as he is crane kicking. And I just don't. And Chad Baker got thrown out of this game, guys, and maybe rightfully so. But I don't know. Like I said, there were definitely some calls. If you're Auburn, you got to play well enough for those calls not to matter. So I'm not blaming this loss on the refs, but I thought that Bama benefited a little bit more from the whistles tonight. Look, Grant Nelson had a great game, and he had a good game at the rim as well too. He scored some tough buckets on Janai. Janai got 2 quick fouls early, and you could tell he was playing not to pick up that third. And he did that for most of the rest of the game. I don't think he picked up another foul the rest of the game.
No, he ended the game with only 2 fouls.
Yeah, so it was Nelson took advantage of that, I think, a little bit early. And get credit to him. And then obviously Mark Sears at the end. He's hit a lot of big buckets in his career. That was a little too easy for my liking.
Yeah.
He just got to the bucket just a little bit too easy there at the end. So if you're Auburn, you shake this one off, I think, and you look toward Nashville. You want to stay on point. You stay tuned up in this one, and then you turn your sights to Lexington, because ultimately the goal is make a deep run in March into April, because no one's going to remember this if you make it to San Antonio.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, that's what happened last year. Like, you had the great regular season, you get there into the SEC tournament and win that, but then you lose in the first round, and people forget about that. So the reverse can absolutely happen for you if you do get a good run here in March. Super chat from Tony Baker, who said, crushing blow just because it's Bama. Just glad we get a little time off to get Broome and Denver's injuries, a little break, free throws. Damn. Yes, agreed. You got to make those free throws down at the end of the game. Again, Auburn in the second half, because they didn't shoot any in overtime, 5 of 10 from the free throw line.
Yeah, it hurts down the stretch. 5 huge missed free throws.
Yeah, so you got to be able to do better than that if you want to be able to close out games like this. And then, again, I think the crucial turnover there in overtime, the only turnover that happened in overtime was Tahad Pettiford getting ripped there by LeBaron Philon for the score, and you lose the game by 2 points like that. Those are moments right there where you just can't have that happen. And that stuff like that is the difference in these games. 2 missed free throws, a turnover at a crucial time, you lose the game by 2. So see here. Any final thoughts here before we let you get out of here? Mike, you're
no.
So I don't know if you're actually still there.
Am I still here?
Yeah,
we can hear you.
Okay. Yeah. This was a tough one for Auburn, I think, but ultimately, again, your sights are bigger than what this game was tonight, and we knew that coming in. But ultimately, they'll bounce back from this. I think the positives are you didn't shoot terribly from the field. This wasn't a game where Auburn came in and laid an egg, shooting the ball from the field. 47%. They were around 50 for most of the game. Now you allowed 52%, so you don't love that. The
difference is that you allowed 52 though, and that's the biggest issue for me. You got to play better defensively.
Offensive rebounds, again, they didn't lose that battle as badly as they did at Texas A&M, and they didn't give up a ton of second chance points in this one. But in that overtime period, Alabama rebounded 5 of their 6 misses. And you can't do that. You just can't do that. I think something's going to come back to haunt this team. in close games come NCAA tournament time. So gotta find a way to get those rebounds and not let them just smash the offensive boards the way they did, because this won't be the last close game that Auburn plays.
Yeah, for sure. You got to close these out and get to a place where you're able to make it happen down the stretch, because it's going to happen in tournament time. It happens every single year, and the teams that can close out are the teams that are going to win. Appreciate Mike G for jumping in here with us there live from Neville Arena. We'll get back into these comments a little bit more and let you guys get out of here. Teresa says Auburn peaked too early. Am I wrong in saying that Auburn just beat the crap out of Ole Miss and Kentucky recently? Was that post, or was that the peak? I don't. When are we saying Auburn peaked? Then I'm confused about when was the peak.
I think that's. I think I understand the frustration going out with a 2-loss streak here this week, and not having a good week followed by a really good week prior. But I think it's premature to determine if Auburn has peaked. Auburn has the ability to go on a run in the SEC tournament as well as the NCAA tournament. I remember a team by the name of NC State last year who had no true realistic shot of getting into the NCAA tournament, won their conference tournament, and then went to the Final Four. No one gives a crap about what they did regular season after that. They were writing their own story. Auburn has the ability to do that. And I understand that, as frustrating as it is to lose to Bama, Auburn has clinched the number 1 overall in the SEC tournament and could potentially still be in it to be the number one overall seed. Auburn has the opportunity to write their story. They got to clean up some things. They got to address some things, but there's no glaring issues with this team. It's just it's just a tough conference to play in. And for Auburn to come out with only 3 losses in conference play in easily the best year of this conference ever is amazing. And that's something to be proud of. I think every Auburn fan should be proud of that. As frustrating as this.
No, I agree with you. Can you still hear me? Okay. Robert Guy says, do you think we are a lock for the number 1 overall, or are they going to act like we haven't had like one more quad 1 wins than anyone else? It's tough, man.
Be determined.
Yeah, it's tough. Like, I just don't. I
level fair with Duke.
I want to say Auburn should have been a lock for over a week now. I really do, because their resume says that they are. I just don't know. I don't know how to. I don't have faith in it, man. I'm not gonna hold you. Like, their resume is better.
Game day should have been in Auburn today.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand you have it locked up. Auburn has it locked up, but so does Duke, right? Is Duke North Carolina? Is anyone playing for?
No, I mean,
a share.
Yeah, they're definitely already clinched because they're in that terrible conference. So
it's just like the bias is already there.
Yeah,
you were in Duke for the Duke North Carolina matchup. Now you're back in North Carolina for what I think is going to be another Duke victory, unless North Carolina pulls off I'm rooting for them, but unless they pull off the unlikely win, Duke is going to win this game. Like, so to me, I just think ESPN has already shown that they favor Duke. A lot of people in media favor Duke. So.
Yeah, I don't know. I said I would love to say, yeah, they have it locked up, because I think that they should have been locked up in the number 1 overall seed after they won. Because in my opinion, like, and I said this is not like recency stuff. I said this weeks ago, that if Auburn wins the regular season title for the SEC, Auburn should be the number 1 overall seed in the tournament. Like, I said that weeks ago. This is before they locked up. This is when we still thought it was going to come down to who won this game that just got played.
Right.
And I was like, if Auburn wins that, they should have the number 1 overall seed, because you're playing in the toughest SEC that you've ever had, and you won that. And they won it convincingly.
Outright. Like, It's not like you're sharing it. It's outright.
So I always thought that should have been the case. However, you made it a debate. The unfortunate reality is you made it a debate, and you've also, Mike was very confident in saying that he feels like that Janai Broome locked it up today. Cooper Flag still has to play.
I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, Cooper Flagg could go out there and drop 40 tonight against North Carolina, and they will anoint that man the very minute that it doesn't win or lose. Hear me when I say this. Janai Broom scored 44 points tonight. If Cooper Flagg puts up a 30 ball tonight versus North Carolina, win or lose, he might be that might do it for him. I don't agree with that, but that's just the way that the media bias has been.
But yeah, I mean, and yeah, we don't agree that it should have been a debate up to this point, but it is. So it's possible. It's likely.
Super chat here from Ben Bloodworth says, I can see it now. AP voters will put Duke #1 and then Flagg will win National Player of the Year because voters voted for the best player of the best team. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's exactly how it likely is going to go, right? Because Duke now has lost, 4 games on the season or 3? I don't know. They're 4 games on the season.
I think
how
4.
many lost?
I think 4. They lost to Kentucky, Kansas. No, 3. And then Clemson.
Clemson. Yeah. So I'm pulling up Duke's record right now. 27-3, right? So Auburn already has 4 losses. So you got more losses than them, and then they lost the head-to-head. Duke is probably the #1 team in the country when this is all said and done, and Auburn is going to be, playing as a #1 seed, but probably not as the #1 overall seed come tournament time. And there's nothing that they can do in the SEC tournament to change that. That is what the crazy reality of this is. And this is where Auburn fans are. I agree in part with Auburn fans who say just, do whatever in the SEC tournament, just stay healthy. I don't care if you win it, because it will do absolutely nothing for your seeding.
Agreed. That's why I think that they needed to split, at the very minimum, split their games this week. You needed to win one of them.
Yeah. Let's see here. I'll get a couple more chats, and I thought Maine was gonna hop in with us. Funny Maine was here. I thought he was gonna hop in with us. I did message you the link if you wanted to hop in, man. Miller House says we're not winning the SEC tournament. Love that confidence going down the stretch there. I honestly didn't think Auburn was going to win the SEC tournament before this, just because it's a tough tournament to win. And I just don't like the matchups with some of the teams that Auburn could potentially. I haven't seen that tomorrow. Are you going to be on the show tomorrow, Caesar?
Yes, I should be here.
All right. Tomorrow, maybe we'll look at the SEC tournament bracket and we'll do like a bracket prediction or something that.
Let's be clear. There's no real good place to be in seeding in terms of this.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like
it's a murderer's road, no matter where you're going to be. You don't want to play any of these teams.
So I didn't know that Auburn was going to win it anyway. But I don't know that tonight changes my mind on what I thought 2 weeks ago. Kyle Clayton says Duke hasn't clinched the ACC. Oh, they haven't. How? Who is still battling Duke for? Is it Clemson?
Maybe Clemson.
Clemson's the only ranked team in the ACC right now.
They do have a.
What? Man, get this, bro.
Even more reason
why.
Even
Duke
more
not
reason.
win this #1 overall seed, bro.
Come
on, cuz. Man. What? I almost don't want to let this dude in here. I see him popped up in the chat with this ugly ass.
I don't see number teeth. I don't see number teeth.
His ugly hat on. Man, Funny Maine joining us live in here, man. What's up?
Don't be like that, guys. Don't be
you
like
finna, that. You finna have all our streams shut down, man.
Nah, man. What an amazing game, a historic game. Somebody had to be on the other side of it, but to get 5 extra minutes of overtime in the jungle, just a hard fought, man. I actually we had a impromptu watch party at one of our local bars with Bama and Auburn fans. It was all love, man. Of course, everybody rooting for their team, but this is it, man. Being on ESPN, the spotlight, rivalry game, everybody locked in. I'm getting text messages from all over the country. So, again, somebody had to lose, but this was big for the state of Alabama.
It was. I mean, listen, it is one of those situations where you put basketball in a different national conversation, even though I didn't listen to it because I have made it a point now in my life to not listen to the commentators on these national broadcasts.
Right.
They continue to bring up Duke and North Carolina during this game. It's going to happen when ESPN is the one that's carrying your game. So just get over it. But I think Auburn and Alabama now are in that conversation firmly with Duke and North Carolina as far as the prestige of the programs and how they match up with one another and what the stakes are when they face one another. It's just the conversation is just different now.
We're getting there. We're getting there.
I mean, historically, I know we can't overtake it. I'm just talking about in this present moment as far as what those two teams mean to college basketball for really the last 5 seasons.
Yeah, I think the basketball purists are going to agree with you. Now, I think the casual fans are just like, oh, Auburn, Alabama, that's a football rivalry. But if you've really been watching the matchup, like you said, 5, maybe past 6 years, it's amazing every time. Like, it's hard fought. It's a rivalry. The crowd is in it. It's got all the elements of a great game. And taking nothing away from Duke and North Carolina, you need that rivalry for college basketball. But anybody that's paying attention, like it ain't the same.
And the big reason for that, and you can speak to this, Funny Main, is Duke and North Carolina have had turnover with coaches, whereas Auburn and Alabama have hired Nate Oates, Bruce Pearl, and we've seen what Auburn and Alabama has done over the past several years versus what those two programs, still good programs, still being going to the tournament, but you can see that the gap is beginning to close because of those two coaches for Auburn and Alabama.
I don't know, man. It's at the end of the day, it's still Duke and North Carolina. You know what I'm saying? A lot of kids are still going to want to go there. Coaches are going to want to coach there. So
that's actually a comment Bruce Pearl made. I think right before they faced Duke, and your camera's going out for some reason. Your feed
might have did.
But Coach Pearl made this comment going into the game versus Duke. He said that a lot of the guys that are there for Duke, they wouldn't he didn't even have a shot to recruit them. Like they weren't going to come to even give Auburn an opportunity to be a part of, the whole situation there. So, I think that is definitely a situation where you're right. The 5-star guys, you're not going to Auburn has one McDonald's All-American. Is there a McDonald's All-American even on Bama's roster this year? I don't know if
I think
was Darian Reed.
I think Reed was, and I think Aiden Sherrill, number 22, was. Okay. I think that's right. And LeBaron, I'm not sure if he was, but I know he's Mr. Basketball for Alabama. So
I don't think LeBaron was a McDonald's All-American, but again, they're getting good recruits. They're just not getting those guys that seem like one and done players where it's like, this dude is going to the league for sure after this year.
But but to your point, I don't think the one and done guys are part of the great teams anymore. Like, it's kind of like, where they're headed, but now it's about the guys who've been there for a while, the guys who may have transferred from another school, the guys who are willing to get dirty, get grimy, been there for a few years, know the game is slowed down for them. Auburn has got some 5-6 year scene. We make jokes about it being old, but look at how they dominate now. That experience. I think experience is going to beat one and done in this new college basketball era.
No, I agree. I agree 100% that I mean, it's really honestly, if you've been looking at the landscape of college basketball, it's kind of been moving in that direction pre-transfer portal and NIL anyway. When you look at the teams that have been winning titles, not just been in the national media spotlight, but if you're looking at like the UConns of the world, right? Like those are older teams. The teams that have been making it, that you just mentioned, the NC State team from last year, those older teams are the ones that are really making the deep tournament runs. The other teams get all the flash and all the publicity, but the teams that are winning when it counts are the ones that have the more senior players.
Absolutely.
And so I think that's been the trend for a while, and you're going to see that trend continue now that a lot of those guys that are fringe NBA guys don't have the decision of, all right, I'm a junior. Let me go try to see if I can go play overseas and pro. Nah, let me come back for my senior year, give me a little bit more NIL money, maybe transfer to a bigger program, right? And get me some more money there, play in a bigger space. You're going to see more of that as we continue down this road in this, your ability to pay college players.
And to your point, that's making the coaching job of Bruce Pearl, Nate Oates, and a few more other guys so amazing, because you're having to gel these new pieces together. You switching out assistant coaches and to still be able to put it together that quick and have a run. You know, some people might have forgotten, but I haven't forgotten. You know, y'all started off the season with a fight up in the midair. And I was like, oh, looks like they, you know, their chemistry might be off this year. Total opposite. Whoever they beat on that plane, they must have threw them off because they were the cancer. And they said, listen, we got a #1 squad, so you just hop on off. But I think it's more to a credit to the SEC as a whole, because I remember the conversation a few years ago that when you started seeing these top-notch coaches come into the league, they really started building, and now we're seeing the fruits of that starting, because it's not just Bama and Auburn.
No.
You know,
this league is crazy.
Missouri is crazy. Florida is crazy. Tennessee gonna give you all you can ask for. On a good night, South Carolina and Georgia might sneak up on you. Arkansas is in the mix. Kentucky still Kentucky. So shout out to the SEC.
Florida, I thought I said Florida. Even if I'm Florida again, because Florida to me is the most complete team in this conference. I think that
more than Auburn.
Yes, I think because, and here's why. I know the statistics don't back me up on this, but hear what I'm saying. Because of the way Florida can rebound the basketball, I think that they neutralize most of what Auburn does really well is force teams to take tough shots. And if you can make tough shots, you're going to have a chance against Auburn, which is why Auburn had a tough time against Texas, because Texas has a bunch of tough shot makers, which is why Florida beat Auburn, because they have guys that can make and take tough shots, and they rebound the ball really well. And Florida plays, they can score with you in the 90s if they need to. They can win the grinded out game because they have enough defense. I think Florida is the most complete team. Are they the best team? No. But I think that they're the most complete team, because I think that they have the opportunity to play any style of basketball better than anybody else can play any style of basketball. Auburn can play any style as well. I just think the difference for me for Florida is their ability to rebound the basketball at a high level. They're one of the best rebounding teams in the country.
I can't believe you making me say this. I just think Auburn got the edge on them.
Clip it.
I look at both of them.
Clip it.
And this is, I had a conversation a few weeks ago with my buddy before Bama and Auburn played the first time, and I said, what I'm concerned about is Auburn has one or two more dogs than we have. Like, y'all got some guys that are willing to get nasty. We got guys that can do that with Cliff Amore, Mo, but after that, you can rattle the confidence of some of the other guys. Like, I've seen it. You know what I'm saying? They're great players, but few shots missed, they rattled. Few steals and turnovers, they get rattled. So that's what I was concerned about, and it showed up in that first matchup. But the seniors, the older guys, the vets, pulled it out today.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we talked about him. Grant Nelson, Mark Sears won the game with that shot. Grant Nelson is who allowed Mark Sears to be in a position to take that shot with how he played throughout the entirety of this game. First half, he was the most dominant player on the floor. He got that crucial rebound there in the overtime. Grant Nelson hit a corner three late in the game, right? Like, Grant Nelson was the reason I think Alabama wins this game. Now, Mark Sears will get the praise for the shot, but I mean, let's be clear. Mark Sears had 9 points in this game. Two of the biggest ones at the game. Grant Nelson had 23 huge points in this game, and he's the reason why I think they won this game. LeBaron Fallon came up big too. You know, you talk about the seniors, but Fallon with 15 points. He made his free throws this time, unlike what he did in the Tennessee game late. He got the big steal there in the overtime to get the bucket. Fallon came up big as well.
But I'm glad you called those two, Grant and Fallon, because honestly, they've been missing in action the past 4 or 5 weeks. Up until today, we were 2-4 over the last 6 games, and those two were a big part of a big reason why, because they had disappeared. So for them to show up today, Thank you. Because
I bet.
where you been? But
Yeah.
Grant, again, he showed what he can do in clutch moments, and he came up big. But the battle between him and Janai Broom today, Broom, 2 crucial 3-pointers.
Yeah, that was major.
They could not stop him on the inside. He's got his move locked down. Like, you can't do much with it. But I think the turning point for Alabama when to be honest, I thought they were gonna call it technical, but after Grant gets the dunk and then he hits the crane.
Should have been. Let's be clear. Should have been.
Yeah, even if it was a tech, I think that set the tone for the attitude that they needed, because I talked about them not having that dog in them. And from that moment on, they were locked in.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, but I actually think that turned up Auburn too. Like, I think it was one of them situations where it's like it took the intensity of the game from, okay, to like, what? Okay, I
I mean, yeah, it's already intense coming in, man. But Baker-Mazara, even though I like him as a player, dog, I just don't understand how you consistently get that out of control. I don't get it. He's a great player. I don't think he has to do that.
He doesn't.
He doesn't. You're right.
100%.
Two things can be true, though.
What happened for him today in his retaliation and all the times he felt like he got hit? I don't want to defend his actions today, because he 100% did what they said he did. Like, I ain't got nothing for you on that, right?
Yeah.
My problem is that he doesn't get the benefit of those same, like, let's be clear. Had Chad Baker-Mazara dunked on somebody, stared them down, and then hit a pose in the middle of the game, he'd have gotten a tech. 1,000. There's nothing anybody, because, and again, I don't listen to the commentators. Some people in the chat told me what they said is they didn't realize what his intent was in doing it. So that's the reason they don't call a tech in that scenario. They don't care what Chad's intent is in the moment. If he does it, he's getting the whistle. And so the frustration for him is, y'all letting them do all this stuff to me, and if I do anything back, y'all kicking me out of the game. Again, he did what they said he did today. I ain't got no defense
twice.
No defense for that.
Listen, the swing in the eye clearly wasn't going for the ball. That rides.
I don't know.
Physical game.
About that one.
Come on, y'all.
I don't know about that one.
Well, okay. Whatever.
I don't know about that.
And then the second one. The
second one was the one
to the back of the head. It's
he could have gotten away with the first one. The second one, I'm like, ooh.
The first one looked like, okay, I'm just coming in to try to like box out. The second one was an actual like intentional forcible blow. Like, again, there's zero defense for me on that.
Yeah, I try to be neutral. I looked at the replay several times. His hand was nowhere near the ball. If you go back and look at it, it went straight to the guy's face. It was just nowhere near the ball at all.
Yeah,
so
I don't know about that first one, but again, my problem is Youngblood was goading him the entire game into that, and he fell for the bait. Like, and that's where my I'm like, Chad, stop falling for it, bro, because this is exactly what happened in the Yale game last year. The dude elbowed him in the throat, and they let it go, and so he was like, oh, so we get the elbow off the ball. Like, cool, I'm gonna throw an elbow. And he got kicked out of the game for it. It's like, you can't fall for, bro, banana in the tailpipe every time. You can't do it.
But let's say this, though. With the consistency that he's done this, is he falling for it? Or can we just say this?
Because teams know.
Can we just say this is who he is?
For sure. But that's
he's a hot-tempered player.
Okay. Agreed. I'm not saying he's not hot-tempered. I'm saying teams know what to do to provoke that from him, and he keeps doing it. Yes, he 100% is a hot temper player, and I like that fire from him. I just wish he would direct it in a more positive energy more often, because what he did initially was, all right, cool, and then he went and locked in on a defensive possession and got a steal. I want to see that, Chad, when you get pissed off. I don't want to see this other dude over here that's gotta get into these physical confrontations with people. I don't care how much you getting hit and you getting knocked down, Chad. Like, bro, the whistle is never going to be in your favor. And whenever he realizes it's never going to be in my favor, then he'll be all right. But I just don't know what's going to have to click for him to get to that point where he realized it.
again, I think it's just who he is. Now, you can debate about the foul, but what I did like after the hit in the eye, you saw him and Youngblood dap it up. Like, my bad, bro, just playing ball. And I was like, cool, moved on.
You would have
And
thought it
then,
was.
yeah, it should have
Yeah.
been. I think he's too good of a player to have to resort to that. He's somebody I would love to have a dog like that on our side, but you know, he's on the other side, but the fact that he does it consistently bothers me.
Yeah, no, I agree. Again,
Okay.
I don't. There's no argument for me about whether or not his temperament is ill focused, right? Because I like the fire. I just don't like the direction that fire takes him, right? And it takes his focus away from basketball and it takes it into retaliation every time for him.
Again, with players like this, man, you play with edge, eventually you fall off. That just happens eventually with these guys, and you gotta the maturity is learning how to channel that, especially in key critical moments, because this was a game where he was definitely needed. The Yale game, he was definitely needed, and you got to realize the moment in the situation. And I think that's your point, main, that you're trying to make, is that you got to understand the moment you in, and it is bigger than you.
Right.
And once that clicks for Chad, I think he'll be good.
Yeah, but hold on. Are you willing to acknowledge that Youngblood was doing a little extra stuff himself, though? Are you willing to acknowledge
it was physical? It was physical. Yeah, absolutely. I can't say I saw every little thing that was going on, but it was physical. Everybody was joined for sure. But I don't ever think it needs to get there. And also a confession: up until midway of the season last year, I thought the kid's first name was Baker. I thought it was a cool name. I thought his name was Baker-Mazara. I thought it. And when I found out that was his last hyphenated name, I was kind of upset. Like, oh, I've been thinking the kid's name was Baker.
Yeah, that's funny though. But no, I don't know if Chad is short for nothing, but I always call him Chadwick. But yeah. Anyway, we've been on here for a minute. Y'all got any final thoughts on what was ultimately a really great overtime game? Came down to a last second shot. I thought we were about to go to double overtime there for a second, because Mark Sears had actually missed a couple of those exact same shots earlier. I was like, oh, we about to go, but he did not miss that last one. But any final thoughts before we get out of here from either of you guys?
My final thought is just, this was a huge game for Alabama's confidence. Like I said, 2-4 in the last 6 games. I just felt like if they couldn't get this win, or if they got blowout or defeated, I just thought that was it for us mentally for the rest of the next 2 tournaments. Now, we did slump at the end of last season and then got thumped the first round by Florida last year and made it to the Final Four. But last year is last year, and I just felt like we got some great players this year. But had they lost, obviously, today, or lost in a close game, I just felt like that was it. Just pack it up, go home. But this was a huge win for their confidence.
For sure. C-Dub, any final thoughts before we get out of here?
Tournament time. Tournament time. It's time to play with that desperation. And it starts in Nashville.
For sure. All right. Well, we are going to get out of here. Appreciate Funny Mane for jumping in with us. If you don't know who Funny Mane is, I guess you could tell people who you are. I literally have no idea how anybody on this stream doesn't know who you are, but in case they've been under a rock somewhere.
Nah, I can't see the comments, thank God, because I'm pretty sure
they've been kind, actually. Initially, it was like, why is this guy on here? Somebody was cracking on your hat. But other than that, it's been fairly kind.
Oh, okay.
Well, I got a question.
Yes, sir.
Do you wear that hat any other time other than when Bama plays?
No, you know what? I only really wear this hat when I'm doing videos or streaming. It's not even a hat you should wear with these headphones. You can see it's bringing the brim down. But nah. You want to, I got on a different shirt today, so I wanted to at least, look like I root for Bama. But just a awesome game, man. And I've been a huge supporter of you guys for a few years now. So keep doing what y'all doing. All the Auburn fans out there, yeah, it's a rivalry, man, but support these brothers and what they're doing is very important work. They're very thorough, great guests. I've been subscribed to the channel for years. I get the notifications. I watch anytime I need to know anything going on with Auburn. I'm going to check out the War Report. So make sure y'all keep supporting them. And everybody that's watching, tell 2 friends to come to YouTube and subscribe to the War Report. I promise they will not be disappointed.
Appreciate that very much. Caesar, before we get out of here, like final thoughts, my guy.
Like I said, it's just tournament time, man. I'm just ready for these guys to bounce back. Need Denver to heal up.
Yeah.
Need these guys to heal up and get ready.
Don't make me kick you off the stream, bro.
Oh, I didn't know y'all can see me. My bad.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, you in that hat. We see both of y'all. But no, I'm just ready for these guys to it's nothing. I don't think anything matters at this point.
Yeah, you just got to keep winning, bro. Like at this point, it's because it's one loss and you out of there. So you got to keep
nothing
winning.
Matters. What matters is what's ahead of you. You got to take care of what's ahead of you. That's for Bama, Auburn, any team in the SEC and beyond. Take care of what's in front of you.
All right, man.
And to that point, but that last thing, I think every college basketball season is actually 5 seasons. So you got the preseason. You got your non-conference season, conference season, tournament. Conference tournament season, and then the big boy. So they finished up the first 3 seasons today. 2 more seasons ahead. Like you said, they reset. Got to shake this one off. The win and the loss, you got to shake both of them off. Yeah. Enjoy or dwell on it for 24 hours. Time to move on.
For sure. All right, well, we are going to get out of here. We got so much more to talk about with this game and the future of Auburn basketball going into tournament season. We'll be back at you guys with the weekend tailgate tomorrow, so y'all make sure y'all tap in there. I got to lie. That's enough. We'll tap in there, and then make sure that you like this video before you get out of here. Comment and subscribe to the video. As always, we are at the War Report everywhere. TW Report on TikTok. We'll be back at you guys tomorrow, but until then, and as always, War Eagle.